All right, this is what we're going for. We're gonna do some lava here. So I got some styrene foam, and I basically just sprayed it with a little bit of black spray paint to just eat away the inside. And this is what it would look like before I put the epoxy in. So just spray it with some black regular spray paint, because that spray paint's going to eat away at the foam, and you're just going to might put it. I think I did 2 layers, not real thick, because I wanted this one a little more shallower than this one. Some of the parts on this one I sprayed a little bit too much and it went all the way through. I had to fix it with hot glue. There's some little LED lights with battery packs. Doesn't come with the batteries, at Dollar Tree. And you can get a hot glue gun and melt off the bulbs or crack them off. Not a hot glue gun, a heat gun, and just melt them off. And you can see where some of it's a little bit left on here, but I basically melt them all. Just got them real hot and pulled them off. But anyway, they light up. Now, here is this. So this one I put a little bit of a red in the acrylic and poured in there. And then I painted on the rest to make a little bit of a different multi look. But it's all, the paint is mostly all just on top. Now this one I think I'm gonna mix some individual acrylic epoxy and mix the different colors and then swish them through there so that they're the colors through and through, and not really just sitting on the top like here. We'll see how that works. But you got the lights in there, so we take it, just did my switch on the side, camouflaged it in a little bit, and turn it on. Off, on. You can see it light up there. Off, on. All right. Want to make it a little darker. All right, again, these are just simple little LED lights, 10 count from the Dollar Tree. They're $1. They don't come with batteries, so you gotta get your own batteries. Didn't want the whole string, and all I did was take wire cutters and cut off the end. I cut off, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I cut off 4 other lights, and it still works. So what I'm going to do is, on the prep for this, is you want to make sure that after you have done your spray paint or your nail polish or anything that will eat away your foam to give it a sort of a rough bottom texture, after it fully dries, you're going to want to get you some Mod Podge and completely coat this. Now I put black coloring in my Mod Podge, and I do a nice thick coat on it and let it dry. I've also went ahead and sprinkled some rocks in on there, gave it a little bit more of a rougher texture around the edges. Sprinkled some fine rocks and some also gotten from the Dollar Tree. Matter of fact, it's right here. Just picked up some more. You got the pebbles and then the black sand. Buck a bag. All right, so now what you're gonna do is you're gonna figure out with this, where I'm gonna put everything, and I'm just looking at these like puddles. I'm saying, sort of put it in the deeper part of the puddle. When you get it to about where you think you're going to want it to be, then you're just going to get your hot glue and you're going to put a dab down. And you're just going to take it and push that light down into it. Just hold it till it dries so it stays. There are also some other lights that aren't as thick. That's what's actually in here, are these really small lights right here. That's what I got in here. They're a lot smaller, the wire's a lot smaller, a little bit more flexible. All right, once that one starts hardening, just move to the next one. Figure out where it's going to be. Put the glob of hot glue down and push it down. And be careful, don't burn your finger. I don't know, I always test to make sure it's still working, make sure it didn't break nothing. Now that epoxy will find its way through anything before it starts to harden. So what I did on these, just in case, is I went ahead and pretty much covered them in hot glue, so that just in case any of that epoxy leaked in there, it wouldn't ruin it. So I just covered them. All right, and then where I clipped that, I clipped it right there. I'm gonna go ahead and put a little hot glue on that. A couple drops to sort of hold your wire down to where it doesn't end up popping up too high on you. Do that. All right, this is just epoxy I get from Michaels. I forget the name of it. You would say EnviroTex Light. I think that's the name of it. Anyways, a hardener in the epoxy. So these are pretty good to mix things in. I'll use this to measure. These little cups here. I forget where I got these from. This is just that after you get cinnamon rolls and it's got the cream in it that you put on top of cinnamon rolls, just wash that out. Great paint mixers or epoxy mixers or just stuff for crafting, for painting, putting paint in or whatnot. All right, let's get some red, orange. So I got a little bit of pumpkin orange, yellow flame, and then just plain fire red. Alrighty. All right, so it's even amounts. Get you something to scrape the sides with it because it'll leave a good bit on there. And then when you pour, I'll use the same thing. You can use the hardener first because if you got a little extra hardener in there, it won't hurt it. All it would do is make it basically harden a little faster. The more hardener you use, the faster it's going to cure. But just use it 1 for 1. You'll be good. Alrighty. Let's add 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 drops of red in there. Let's see what it comes out to be. It's pretty bright. It's pretty red. Make sure you scrape the sides, scrape the bottom. Now we're going to pour this in. Now I just like to go around the sides and let it just roll down because it's sort of going to level itself out. I need more. All right, I got a little Tuscan red here. I want a different red in there also, I think. 1, 2, 3. Let's see how much this mixes up to be. Because this is gonna make a dark burgundy type Tuscan red. I also have burgundy red I could use, but I'm gonna use this one. It's gonna make it a little bit darker. Scrape the sides. Mix. Alright, so now let's sort of just zigzag this. Let it go in where I'm going to take a little bit of the orange. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to just put some orange in here. Scrape out a little bit more and maybe was left in here. Mix it in with that. And maybe just take it and I'm just going to mix it in around maybe where the lights are. Now let's get a little bit of my yellow. Mix it in here. Now to combat the wires, just get a little bit of your pebbles and rocks. Just sort of pile it on there, around there. Sometimes put a little extra because it will sink down. And that way you know you've covered it. This light over here is sticking up just a little bit too much. So it's got that epoxy on it, but I'm just going to drizzle. Sort of going to cover it up. It's still going to light up, just not going to be so bright. Same thing with this one over here. These lights might have been just a little bit big. Not as small as the other ones to where they would have stayed down. But now, here's the difference. Let's see, you can sort of tell. This one sort of lights up a little bit brighter. Now what I did different on the two, let me turn out the lights to see what it looks like. There's the difference between the two. One's a little bit more red, the other one's a little bit more orange. Now the difference that I did between these two is this one I did put a clear coat on first. I didn't mix any color in with the epoxy and I laid it out first. And then I put a light color red on and then I basically just painted, just put drops of paint in the light red color and sort of mixed it through after I poured it in. But by doing that, the paint sort of comes to the surface. It might do the same thing over here, I'm not sure, but I don't think it will. I think it's more mixed. But this is now all red. There wasn't that clear coat at the bottom, and it was a little bit darker red than I used over on this one. Because this one you could sort of see through just a little bit, but I wanted to see how it would be darker. So there's your two sets. You have one, and this one's not lit up that much, and this one has a little bit more light to it. And it's a little bit more clearer epoxy. But if you feel also too that that is not the depth you wanted, you can always get your rocks and fill in. I want to put a little bit of some bigger chunks around. You can always just drop some right in the middle to make a, and it'll just sink down in it. But you can also use it as a filler if you think your level's not up, you want it to be spread out more. Drop some rocks in there and it will, you could technically just sprinkle the rocks all on the top of this and that will slowly sink down and it will spread your epoxy out. But you gotta do it quick before it starts to harden. And I mean, this takes a while to harden, but if it gets too tacky and they won't sink down very good. But remember, your lights are down there, and you don't want to cover your lights or know where your lights are at. So, but that's a lighted volcano. I think if you're looking at this epoxy, I think it's $30 at Michael's. But if you get your 50% coupon, you can get it for $15. I'm to here. It was only up to about right here, so I only used maybe a fifth of each bottle to make this. And you know, the lights are $1, and then your foam, this was just packing foam I had around. Your rocks and stuff, they're each $1 at the Dollar Tree. This I might run out somehow because this might more sit in a middle piece, and I might have this switch way out or something and have something camouflaging that on the gaming table. Your volcano pit, your lava pit. sit off on the side of your game, in the middle of your game. You just camouflage your wire somehow. Let me hit the lights one more time so we can see. Anyway, please, if you like this, hit the like button. Subscribe. Keep up with the videos I put out. But the table calls. Keep gaming.